Hello everybody and welcome to a new lag poker session. Today we are going to play 4x NL50 normal on coin poker, and we are now with King 5 suited on table 4, ready to open if everybody else folds. And we do open, usually fold into 3-bet, may 4-bet sometimes if we know our opponent is exaggerating a bit, and this time it doesn't happen. This flop hits. In theory, we should have an overbet range and a check range. I think in practice, standard 1/3 works best in most fields. That's why we're going to bet 1/3 here. And he folds, which is sweet. King 9 off on table 2. We are going to raise that if everybody else folds. And we do raise with king 9 off. And he folds, which is nice because we would have not been able to call off a 3-bet there. Now we have pocket queens on table 2. And we are probably gonna open or 3-bet. Well, for sure, we're going to 3-bet or open. And we are going to 3-bet this time. If this guy 4-bets, we are just gonna get it in. Not gonna do any kind of weird slow play or stuff, especially with a short guy. Just calls. Flop is quite bad. I'm still gonna c-bet because I think it's my best chances to win this pot. Actually, you know, I already changed my idea. Just gonna check the first trade with this guy. No need of protection, can get value. Definitely gonna call it at least once if he bets, maybe twice, depending on the run out. Gonna call this for sure. And a 10. So. He checks. We're gonna check back, obviously. That's sweet. Table 1, we are going to 3-bet with 8-9 suited. And we are not gonna call a 4-bet if it happens, but it doesn't happen, so we are fine. Now we go on table 1 with ace-10 offsuit. Can sometimes be a 3-bet position. Can certainly be a raise first in if everybody else folds. I don't know what this guy today is taking a lot. I was setting the tables a few moments ago and he was taking a lot of time each action he took. Too much tabling maybe. But let's go on table 2, where I'm gonna 3-bet this guy that I just 3-bet with the queens. Now we have ace-king. We hope to get it in somehow, but he just calls. We miss the flop. We are going to c-bet this one. No, we're not. He bets. It's pretty close. If you had a deeper stack, I think I would call. I'm not doing it now. We go now on table 1, where we have kings. And we are definitely gonna 3-bet this one, trying to get it in as well. See what villain does. I'm not gonna slow play if he 4-bets. Not without history. He just calls, and we still hit a very bad flop. That sucks. And again, with no info, say checking would be fine sometimes, especially with the king of spades. I'm gonna do that. It's non-standard. I would say c-betting would be the most standard play. But we have no info on villain, so I don't mind taking some more exploitative lines. Checks again. I think I'm gonna start to get some team value, something around half pot here. It would be quite weird to see him raise, but at the same time, I don't think he's bluffing enough if he does that. So I might just fold with no info. Will be suspicious, of course, but you know, when we see something weird, it is way more likely it is a value hand played in a weird way rather than a weird bluff. Pocket tens, we are now going to 3-bet again this guy that we just 3-bet before with pocket kings. If he 4-bets, this is going to be close. I would say calling would be fine in position. You can also fold, especially when you have few info on your opponent and play micro stakes, but still gonna be close. So unless he makes it, of course, huge. If he makes it 40 blinds, of course, we're gonna fold. But with any standard 4-bet, I would say calling and folding are both fine options here. He folds, so we made a move in our head, which never happened. Queen Jack suited on table 3. We are definitely gonna play this one, unless there is a sick action before us. But let's go on table 4, where we have ace king suited. And we are ready to place a 3-bet. Nope, we're gonna do some raise first in instead. I will try to make a 4-bet at this point. Let's see if we succeed in getting a 3-bet. Nope. Let's go on table 2, where we have king queen, and we are gonna squeeze now, hoping that we'll be able to isolate with the bad player. The first, I don't know if it's a regular UTG fold, which is nice. Let's see what does the button. He just calls. This time we hit a better flop. We have a lot of options here. We're not folding on the flop. We can check shove. We can see bet. Check call is an option as well. Maybe I would like it with someone who's a bit deeper. I'm going with the check shove right now. Not gonna fold, even if he shoves, I'm calling because he may have a weaker draw and stuff like this. When he does that, I'm just gonna shove. We punish all his bet versus missed when he has nothing. And if he calls, we probably have a decent amount of equity, so I don't mind. We are ahead actually, so that's pretty nice. And we win this one. That's cool. We like it. Now at the same table we have pocket kings. Unlikely nobody opens, but we are going to open. And let's see the big blind is some fightful guy. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Again, table 2, we have king 10 suited. We are gonna open our 3-bet, and we are going to open this time. If they 3-bet it is a close hand, we could fold, we could call. I would say is a bottom range. I don't have any strong preference, but they just fold. They're playing quite tight pre-flop so far, but might just be an impression. And again, table 2, now we have ace queen off, and we are going to 3-bet this guy. We cannot call a 4-bet with this hand. No need. Quick fold from him. Okay. A7 off, Jack 9 off. Jack 9 off is gonna be a fold when UTG raises. A7 off also is just gonna be a raise first in if we can get to it. And we can get to this raise first in with A7 off. Big blind is recreational. I expect a lot of calls here. If he 3-bets, I'm just gonna fold. And he does 3-bet, so nothing to do here. We go on table 4 with pocket fours. Table 3 actually with pocket fours. I'd say we can raise first in, obviously. Sometimes 3-betting is an option, especially if we don't expect a lot of 4-bets from our opponents, which is usually the case here. So I don't mind 3-betting EP this hand. It's a bit loose. You don't need to do that. but you know, seems like it's working just fine so far, so keep doing it. Deuce Jack offsuit, not a hand we like. We fold. And Jack 6 off is gonna be a fold as well. 10-6. Obviously not a great hand, and guess what? Not even Deuce 7 is not a great hand, so we just fold it. Now we have a decent hand. We have pocket queens on table 1. See how we get to play it. We get to raise first in. If any of these guys 3-bet, I'm just going to 4-bet. Not gonna do any kind of slow play with no info. But big blind calls, and we hit again a pretty bad flop with some overcards. I'm gonna check back this. Even GTO, I think, is a check most of the times here. And I'm gonna call usually on the turn, unless something weird happened in terms of his sizing. May also bluff some rivers, some interesting rivers, like a 10 of diamonds would be a nice bluff. If he checks, we're gonna check back, and that's it. He has an ace. Not bad. We go on table 3, and we just call the small blind open with 8-9 off. Nice flop. We can go either ways here. I don't mind checking, I don't mind betting. The more we expect our opponent to be passive and ABC, the more I like to bet here. Worth in value and protection. I have no info here, just gonna check back. If he bets this turn, I think we may call and bluff some rivers. If he keeps firing, for example, like I can call here and bluff when I have the blocker for flush and straight. Oh, I have the blocker for flush, for straight. If you bet something medium, I think I'm gonna raise for as a bluff. Bet's big. We're still bluffing sometimes, I would say. I don't mind. Of course, this can work only if we think he might be a regular. And he folds right now, which is obviously sweet. Table 1, we have a 3-bet here. And let's see what they do. If they all fold, we are happy. If they 4-bet, I would go for a fold, probably. It would be close if you TG 4-bets. Not this time. And on this flop, with these blockers, I don't mind to c-bet for thin value protection. If he folds, we're quite happy. If he doesn't fold, I think with a hand like this, we're gonna have a lot of check on the turn. But let's go one straight at a time. So we start with a c-bet. We block a lot of his continuing range with his pocket nines, clubs, diamond, club spade. He calls, the 8 of spades hits. It's bad to have these combos because if he had 8-9 and he called with that, probably, I mean, we don't block that because he would have heart or diamonds. I think I'm just gonna check back, and depending on the river, we may do something. 5 of hearts. We don't have very nice blockers to bluff catch here because, you know, again, having the 9 of clubs and spades blocks a lot of what you could call with on the flop from behind. He has some bluffs, obviously, but I don't think I can call this one, especially when he overbets and it gives us a very good price to fold. So we just go. We just let it be, and that's it. Jack 4 off. Table 2, we do fold as well as Jack 9 off suite on the table 3. Out of very interesting hand, I would say so far. It wasn't a too boring session. Let's hope we continue to have interesting spots. Jack 7 off is going to be a fold. And we have Queen 9 suited from the small blind on table 4. I would say we can tribet sometimes versus late position. And we can obviously raise first in if everybody else folds. I'm gonna tribet this time. I would say it's close again. I don't mind both lines. Big blind is thinking about it, but folds. We have now the cutoff who will think about it. And he folds. We go on table 1, where we squeeze ace-10 off instead from the big blind after the cutoff opens and small blind calls, and we get that as well. Now we go on table 4 with pocket jacks. Ready to 3-bet. UTG +1 opens. In this case, if MP 3-bets, for example, I don't mind just folding. Pocket jacks is not a hand as strong as it looks like. So we like to be aggressive with it, of course, but we don't want to exaggerate. If this guy 4-bets, we are just going to call usually, with no info or history. And he does 4-bet, and we are just going to call and play some poker post-flop. Well, could have hit a better flop, I would say. I'm not gonna continue on this if he bets. And he does bet, so we are done. Table 1, we 3-bet with ace-queen off, and the small blind, who is a recreational player, calls, but unluckily this flop is unplayable in a 3-way pot. Our best hope is to check back and to hit an ace. A queen, maybe, but even the queen is a bit tricky. Certainly not a 5 of clubs, and I mean, if they both check, I would say bluffing this could be interesting, because it doesn't look like they have much. So I'm just going to try to bluff this. And it works. Nice. Why not to create bluffs like this? If they have nothing, we bet. Easy, easy peasy. Now we have ace king. And we go for a 3-bet, obviously. We are gonna shove versus a 4-bet, if that happens. Calling is an option, especially if you have history with your opponent who might be a regular. Table 2, we opened this flop hit. He called on the big blind. In theory, we should check sometimes, quite a lot. But in practice, I prefer to bet small. It still works best, probably, in the long run. And he folds, so yes, it does. Yes, it does. We go on table 3, where we have now ace king again. And with this stack, usually we're gonna be ready to get it in if they want. We are not extra deep, and we are definitely gonna 3-bet here. This guy looks like should be a regular. This guy this time, luckily, he folds, but whatever. Ace-3 off cannot be a defense versus a MP open. And we go now to table 3 with Jack 4 suited, which is going to be a raise first in. Otherwise, we fold. And we do open. And we get that. Okay. Seems like a NitFest to today, this field. We like it. We like it. We like NitFest. Taking it off is not normally an open, but given how tight and passive they're playing, I think I will widen a lot my button range. I really don't mind. Sky calls, we hit a gut shot and 2 overcards. I'm just going to see bet here. About half the pot. If he raises on a pair board, we can also fold sometimes, but he just folds, obviously. Pocket sevens, we do open in table 3. Pretty bad flop in a 3-way pot. I'm just gonna check back this time and then reevaluate later in the hand. Ace 8 off, we call versus a button open. I don't think we're going to fold this. Check call, probably. Is my favorite option. But he checks back, and when the 9 hits and I have the ace of diamond, I think I'm just going to bluff this. I'm gonna bet like 8 here. And also bluff many rivers. He just calls, and I'm gonna bluff this for sure. Something like this. Hoping he doesn't have pocket nines or a flush, and he does not. We go on table 2 with ace 10 off. And we got the blinds. Just nice. We go on table 3 and we do open with ace jack off. But also we have on table 1 pocket jacks on the button. May become a more interesting hand. Let we go to 3-bet. In case of 4-bet, we are just gonna call, as it happened a few hands ago in another table. But it just folds, which is nice. We go on table 4 with king jack and we do open. I'm playing with no HUD. In theory, even our opponent shouldn't on this website, but I don't know. Table 4, we get a 3-bet. And 4-bet, and it's time to fold. Guess we have no doubts in that, given how the action was going so far at these tables. Six enough, we fold and move on to deuce 3 off. Also a fold. Deuce 10. We're not Doyle, so we just fold. Ace jack suited on table 2. Maybe a call if UTG or early position opens. Usually a 3-bet versus late position. Or small blind, but let's see. Probably folds, but the button, and we are gonna 3-bet. If he 4-bets, it's close. I would say 200 big blinds deep with a hand like this that can make the nut in many ways. I would probably call, even if out of position sucks. But we're gonna have more playability and more implied odds, so I wouldn't mind to call that one. Sorry for the yawning, but it's evening. Probably I shouldn't play at this time because I had a pretty intense day. But, you know, why not too? Why not to get some extra cash before the night? No. Now the downswing will start, of course, after this affirmation. Table 3, king, queen. True betting usually, if not raising first. UTG opens, and we have a 3-bet. To this action I can fall in this table specifically. Could call forward sometimes if you feel like the action is aggressive, but that's definitely not the feeling I'm having from this table, so just gonna go for a fold. 7-9 suited, we open, gonna fold to 3-bet, but that doesn't happen, and we flop a flush draw. Gonna start with a c-bet, not a must, but I will do it with a decently high frequency. We go now on table 3, where we have 10-9 suited, and we are gonna open that. Receive a 3-bet, and this hand, guys, is a fold. Can't do much here. It's micros, and in micros we fold that. It's hard to fold because, you know, it's a nice, sweet, and playable hand, but it's simply not profitable, so we let it go. Queen 8 suited. We are going to play this versus cutoff, sometimes 3-betting, sometimes calling. Deep stack is like this, maybe I'm going for some extra calls. And we flop a nice top pair. Could check call, could check raise. Again, deep stack, we need to be a bit more conservative, and I'm just gonna check call. But he checks back, and unluckily the turn is terrible. We are probably gonna call once, but he quickly checked, he instantly checked. I don't think he even has a draw here. On the river, I'm close if to value bet or not. That ultra quick check makes me think he doesn't have something that he could bet on the turn, like 10 jack. I'm gonna bet call probably. Could have pocket sevens sometimes. Would suck if he has pocket sevens. But I think bet calling there is the way. Table 2, we do open with jack 9 off on this small blind. If he 3-bets, of course, we're not gonna defend that. And he just calls, and this flop is unplayable, to be honest, out of position. With pure air, just gonna check and usually give up. Table 4, we have ace king. We miss, but we go back to table 2, where now on the 4 spade I'm gonna start betting. I'm gonna bluff some rivers. Quickly calls, that's a nice river. Called pretty quickly, I don't think he has a 4. If he had a 4, I think he would have thought about it. So I'm just gonna bet small, hoping he raises some bluff. But he just calls, so probably has a 5 or something like that. Table 4, check on the flop. This guy bets big on the turn and bets huge on the river. We don't have a decent blocker. Those guys are playing like nits. Just gonna fold. No need to make this kind of calls. We go on table 1 with king queen. That we are going to open. In case of 3-bets, might 4-bet this one. And we get a 3-bet. I don't mind 4-betting, if nobody else, of course. Give section. And we do 4-bet. And he does call, and that's a nice flop. We are gonna c-bet probably range here with a very small sizing, and we do bet with king queen as well. I think king ace king he would probably shove pre-flop, so I would say it's a very nice flop. He may have his king sometimes, but of course we can discount part of it. That's also a nice turn. Checking would be an idea versus somebody who is playing GTO, but I don't know if he's playing GTO, so I'm just gonna bet again. And I'm just going to play super straightforward. Again, I don't hate checking versus a GTO player, but versus a random unknown, I'm just going to bet call here. And thin shove most rivers. Not even that thin as a shove, obviously. He calls, the jack is not the best, but I think he would have folded jacks on the turn. Maybe even ace-10. So I'm just gonna shove. I mean, maybe ace-10 he has, but we got to shove here. He has a lot of 2 pairs which are weaker than mine, but he has ace-10. We put it in account. Too bad. I don't think he could have played this hand differently. It was just a bit of unlucky. 8-9 suited on table 4. We are going to 3-bet this. We can call a 4-bet if he 4-bets. In position is fine with a hand like this. But he folds, which is fine. Ace-5 suited on table 4. Can play this more often than not. We do raise. Okay. 7-8 suited on table 1. We are gonna play this very frequently. On the big blind, that could be a mix. Sometimes 3-betting, sometimes calling. This time, I'm gonna just call. Maybe if the small blind calls, I prefer to squeeze, but in general, it is going to be a call. And we do call here, and we flop a second pair, and we are going to check call. I mean, this is a very check callable hand. Maybe it's a bit more interesting on table 3, where we 3-bet and we hit this flop. We are gonna bet about half the pot of the flop. If he raises, we may shove sometimes with a open-ended. That's fine. He calls and we hit our straight. That's sweet. We may do a lot of things. We may bet again, we may check call. I prefer to bet again. With no info, I like to play my value. Super straightforward. He folds, and that's it. Table 1, we hit a flush draw with our 7-8, and unluckily we hit also a very bad river. Gonna check and probably fold. We don't have a nice blocker to call, I think. Not an awesome one. And we fold. The 7 was bad. Clubs were bad. Turn and river were bad, so I think check folding down on the river is super fine. Table 4, Queen 7 suited. Nobody 3-bets. I'm gonna call this one. I'm gonna play about 5 minutes more, then sit out. I'm really tired, so it's probably not a good idea for me to play. Check Queen 7 suited, and check call here is fine. Check raise sometimes also is an option. He checks back. Could bet. We could bluff, we could check again. I don't mind checking. And check raising sometimes also. Could play a 3 this way sometimes. Or pocket 5s, obviously. And he folds, and we're happy. Table 4, we have now pocket 3s. Usually I'm gonna just raise first in. I'm not gonna 3-bet a hand like this out of position. Very rarely. Not gonna have a cold calling range from the small blind. So raise first in is our only option. Doesn't happen. Might call if you know if the big blind is recreational, and I know that, but not sure about this guy. Maybe or maybe not. Five eight off. We just fold. Table 4, King 7, where it's a fold. I would have opened in a table like this from the bottom, but didn't leave me the opportunity since UTG raises. Ace Queen off. We are probably gonna tribute this one. We do is not a hand with which we like to call a 4-bet, so if you tribute this is to fold usually. If it was suited, of course, would be a different story. Nice flop. I'm gonna start with a c-bet. We may check back a lot on the turn, especially given we have the Queen of Spades, which blocks a lot of our opponent's continuing range. So I don't mind c-betting a lot on this flop and checking back on the turn. I really hate to see this raise. Given how the pool is playing, I think we should just fold here. He's not doing this for value with a weaker hand than mine. With the Queen of Spades, he blocked most of his bluffs. I think folding here, again, especially given how the player pool is playing so far, is just the best option. I think we are saving a lot of money there. It's probably a little overfold, maybe not even much, given we have the Queen of Spades, which was a terrible blocker there to call. But, you know, you've seen how tight they were so far, this guy included, and we didn't see a lot of crazy shit on the post flop. So I think bet folding there in a 3-bet pot where people already 3-bet less, I think it's gonna save us a ton of money having the discipline to make that fold. And are we ever getting bluffed? Of course, guys. They're bluffing us sometimes when we do that. But the question is, are they bluffing enough for us to want to defend that hand? I don't think they're bluffing enough. They're going to bluff time to time. We're going to get bluffed time to time. But I think it's gonna happen so few and so rarely that it's totally fine to just fold there. And as I mentioned, it's time for me to sit out next big blind. Not sure if I'm gonna be able to make another hero fold like that with the level of tiredness I have right now. So time to let it go. Okay. Fold with Jack 6 off suite. 5-6 off also we fold. Deuce 5 off. Fresh hand that we fold. King 9 suited on table 3. We're gonna 3-bet this one in position. Even this guy was fairly tight so far. I think we 3-bet him a lot and he never made a call even. And he continues. We are sit out already on 2 tables. King 9 off, we are gonna fold. Nine deuce suited. Also, we are gonna fold. Ten check off. Not gonna be an open. Maybe this table it could be an open, but typically a fold. We have, I think, the last hand on table 4. And we fold queen 8 off, and we are gonna have the last hand also soon on table 3 that we now go to. Waiting for it, you know, I wish to thank you for watching this session. I think it was quite active, you know. We had a decent amount of hands, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel. It's free and it keeps me motivated to creating content for you. If any hand, you have a comment, a doubt, whatever, please leave it in the comment section of YouTube. We're gonna open this one. And let's see what happens. And don't be afraid to this is a fold of course now. Don't be afraid to say your opinion, even if you think I played something bad. I mean, I still do a lot of mistakes, obviously, and nobody is perfect. Nobody is a perfect player. So if you can create a decent discussion, please don't be afraid to post. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.